Happy final moments of Rosh Hashanah to my Jewish friends. That's why I wasn't here last week. I was in the state of Israel. Long agreed to a event there. Marco Rubio was there. The Prime Minister was there. A number of great people were there. The city of David. I won't get into all the details, at least not right now. But a lot was going on when I wasn't here, wasn't it? And I want to thank all the wonderful folks who stepped in and stepped up and were great hosts on the program, from what I understand, and they're great people. They really are great people. And I watched much of the Charlie Kirk memorial funeral, and I thought the speeches were fantastic except for one. I think Erica Kirk is a remarkable young lady, absolutely remarkable. I always want to listen when she speaks. You can tell she's a woman of deep, deep faith, and you can tell she's been for a long, long time. And I want to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, as an American and as a Jew, I am thrilled with these revivals. I am thrilled with Christians finding their faith and practicing their faith. I am thrilled about it. Thrilled about it. We talk about Judeo-Christian values for a reason. The founders of your country talked about Judeo-Christian values. They embraced them. They talked about the Hebrews. They talked about Jesus. Over in Israel, I rarely go beyond the holy sites, because that's what I love. That's what I enjoy. My family, too. And who's protecting Christian holy sites? From the Islamists, the Palestinian Muslims. Who's protecting them? The Jewish IDF and police. That's who. Who goes into Syria to protect the Christians, among others? We have an envoy, a guy named Tom Barrett, who's a fool, a buffoon. The Israeli Air Force and infantry go into Syria to try and protect the Christians. And yesterday, the Syrians were burning, again, Christian towns. You didn't hear that on any of the networks, did you? You didn't hear it from any news show, did you? Because apparently, to them, it doesn't matter. To them, it doesn't matter. I can't speak for every Jew, but I grew up around Christians. I have friends who are Christians, best friends who are Christians. And we are very close, including Pastor John Hagee, one of the great evangelical Christians of our time or ever, with his megachurch in San Antonio, Texas. He was at the City of David last week as well, as was his family. It was a Jewish Christian celebration, among others, over the beginnings of both faiths, linked in the Bible. And yet there are people who seek to come between us. These aren't people of faith. These are people who try to exploit faith. These are people who don't even comprehend faith. And so now we're back to the old blood libel. The old blood libel. Because it comes up by Carlson during what was an absolutely beautiful memorial service for our friend Charlie Kirk. Now, I want to tell you something. I don't know where this is going. I don't know where this Jew hatred from the Marxists, the Islamists, The neo-Nazis? The grifters? I don't know where they're pulling us and pushing us. What do they want to do with American Jews? What do they want to do? Where are they taking this country? They're destroying it. Carlson, Owens, Kelly, Bannon, the rest of them, and others. They're relatively small voices, this is true. But the left-wing media give them platforms, quote them all the time, promote them all the time, because they think they're getting at you and me, red-blooded and patriotic Americans who love this country. And so they want the rest of the world to believe, the rest of our country to believe, that these are MAGA. Donald Trump is the greatest friend of Israel in the Oval Office in the history of that country and this country. Is that where the people I just mentioned stand? Of course not. They stand with Bernie Sanders and Tlaib. That's who they stand with. They stand with the Jew haters and the Marxists and the Islamists. And why aren't more of our elected leaders speaking out against this? With few important exceptions. Why is Carlson being platformed? Being platformed by some of our leaders. What is that all about? Well, I know what it's all about. And so I've decided you and I have been through a lot of important political revolutions and movements. In fact, we started many of them, but not all of them. The Reagan Revolution, the most massive landslide victories in modern history. The Tea Party movement, started by you, with me, Liberty and Tyranny. Our rallies, our millions of people turning out, throwing out the Democrats in the House of Representatives, giving the Republicans an over 60-vote majority. They'd never seen anything like this. You and me. Nominating Cruz and Rubio and Mike Lee and God knows how many others in the House and the Senate who are there right now because of you and me. Mostly you. The Convention of States, under the radar, but millions and millions of us who have turned legislature after legislature around in support of resolutions to save this country financially and otherwise through Convention of States. In my book, The Liberty Amendments, I've counted. I've sold 15 million books over the course of my career. It's stunning because of you. And MAGA. We've got this little clan, and by clan I mean clan, who claim credit for 77 million plus votes for Donald Trump. Podcasters. Some of whom hated Donald Trump, despised Donald Trump, brutalized Donald Trump, used the most foul words against Donald Trump in texts, in speeches. Now they say they're Make America Great Again. I'm going to tell you this. There's only one Donald Trump. And there will only be one Donald Trump in our lifetimes. He is a great, great man. He is a great leader. What he did at the United Nations today was unbelievable, and I'm going to get into that. Absolutely stellar. I've never seen anything like it before. And guts. The man has courage like you can't imagine. Like you can't imagine. But after Donald Trump, all bets are off. Some people think they have the inside lane to the presidency. Well, you know what? We constitutional conservatives don't believe in coronations, do we? You got to fight for it. And your associations matter. And your past statements matter. And whether or not you're a leader or a statesman matters. And it's going to be bruising. Because some of these dumb bastards like Carlson, they've awakened. They've awakened a sleeping giant. People of faith want nothing to do with Holocaust deniers. People of faith want nothing to do with out-of-the-closet, full-throated Jew haters. People of faith want nothing to do with individuals who try to steal their faith, Christianity, and use it to advance the causes of the Islamists, use it to advance anti-Americanism, use it to attack the greatest generation and the victories in World War II. We're not putting up with this. We're not tolerating this. None of us. You don't trash Christians and Jews and American soldiers on the battlefield in World War II. You don't make excuses for Hitler and smear Churchill. You don't platform Holocaust deniers and sympathize with Qatar and Iran and Putin and think that you represent the people of the United States. Hell, that's not Trump. That's not Reagan. That's sick. That is sick. Charlie Kirk was a great young man. You see a lot of people talking about Charlie Kirk. I probably knew him better than most because he came to me before there was this big Turning Point USA. And I've used this platform to promote a lot of young conservatives, including Ben Shapiro. Dan Bongino, not as young as the others, same thing. And I can go through a long list because that's what I do. That's what I believe. When I see smart people, when I see motivated people who can help save the country, who write, who think, who speak well, I support them. I'm not jealous. I don't tear them down. I don't look to sabotage their careers. I look to help them because that's what I do. Because one day I won't be here either. All of us are going somewhere at some point, right? But I'll be damned if after fighting in the Reagan Revolution, in the Tea Party movement, I'll be damned if they're fighting for the Constitution and Convention of States. I'll be damned if you and me fighting for Donald Trump's election fiercely, if I'm going to surrender the future of this country to neo-Nazis, to Marxists, to Islamists, to Jew haters, to Christian haters, to American haters, whether they're dressed up on the right or the left, whether they're wearing a kippah or a suit, it doesn't much matter to me. And they are going to feel our wrath. It's just a matter of time. Because they've pissed off red-blooded Americans who love their country, love their faiths, and love their fellow Americans.